Hey there, welcome to the Greater You. I had a very interesting experience preparing for this video today. I was doing my own meditation and pondering on all of the different things that I've outlined for all these many videos. And the nudge that I felt from my own higher power was to talk to you about how to communicate or commune with your own higher power. So remember, in our coaching model, that there are 7 areas of wellness. You've got the body, the mind, the spirit, our emotions, and all that stuff. The spirituality is one of our 7 areas that we focus on in helping people develop a truly well-rounded lifestyle. Clearly, in our day and age, this can be a controversial topic, which we're okay with. And if this video isn't for you, that's fine. You can just move on. However, I would encourage you to give this one a listen all the way through, because there's nothing dogmatic about this. There is just an idea here for you to consider. In fact, I heard a story recently. There was just heard this not too long ago. I'm trying to remember where I heard this, but the story was that there were some guys that were they were at college, and one of the guys was a believer and kind of religious, and then the other two roommates were not. And the believer was like, "Hey, you guys, we have meals together. Would you guys be cool if we, said a prayer of thanks before we ate a meal together?" And the guys that were non-religious were like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah." And then one of the guys who wasn't into it, he's like, "You know what? Okay, fine. Let's give it a week-long experiment. We'll let you do your, prayer over the meal or whatever once a day for a week, and then we'll circle back after that week and we'll talk about it, gather some data, and say like, hey, should we keep this thing going?" And this was one of the guys who was not really into it at all. As the story goes, they did it for a week, and the rest of the semester that they lived together as buddies at college, these guys felt something from it that was beneficial. And so they all decided to do it. So, with that in mind, think about communing with your higher power. And you can put whatever name there. I know that people in the like kind of generalized spiritualist category use things like words like the universe, probably with a capital U. For those of us that are more specific believers, we call that universe God. But that is entirely up to your journey and your experience with developing your own spiritual development. However, there's 4 guiding principles here that we recommend thinking about when you're working on connecting to that higher power. The first one is that if you're going to pray, meditate, ponder, think, communicate with this higher power, obviously speak when you can. If you're in a private place, do it in a respectful manner. I would do this frequently and honestly. If you're communing with the creator of this entire universe or the power that governs the whole thing, there's no reason to hold back, right? Come at this with an honest, respectful, open heart and mind, sharing everything that's coming to your mind. When I ponder, meditate, and pray, it is a communication. And I'm telling you, you will get downloads. If you start making a practice from this, you'll start to hear something inside of yourself that will start to spark the ability to gain knowledge from something outside of yourself, which is super cool. When you do this, have a sense of perfect purpose and specificity in that conversation. Sure, I mean, any communion with something higher than yourself is communication, right? And that's awesome. Thanks for an awesome day or whatever. That's awesome. If you're wanting to get more into this relationship of connecting and communicating with your higher power, have more specificity. Think about the communication you have with the people you're closest to. Do you speak in generalities all the time with your loved ones? Probably not. Sure, in moments you do. But when your spouse asks you how your day was, they probably really want to know how your day was, not just like good, bad, not great, whatever. They want to hear the details. So as you get into that specificity and get into the details of your life, a conversation can happen, which brings us to the third concept to consider here, which is that when you're having a conversation with your higher power, be open to listening. If it's a one-way conversation where you're just like reading off a laundry list of like blah, 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 and then you don't quiet down and listen, think about that in your private relationships or close relationships. Is it awesome when someone's like, hey, and then they just unload at you? Okay, gotta go. Probably it's going to be a better relationship if there's a two-way street going on here in the communication. So take pauses and just listen. Take pauses and take some deep breaths and just ponder. Take pauses and be open in your mind and in your heart to be able to just hear whatever it is that you need to receive. So try to make this conversation two-way. Many people report that they have impressions that come to their mind or their heart, or they have words that form. Sometimes there's pictures that form, colors that form. Certain emotions will come up. They'll get ideas that will come into their mind. One of the cooler experiences I had around this years ago was I'm not a very handy guy. And my sons and I were building a porch swing for my wife, Gina. She's awesome. We were doing this for Mother's Day, I think, many years ago. And we're building this swing, and a part of it was incorrectly manufactured. It was all wood. It's still sitting there on our porch like 10 years later. And it's still a great swing. But this thing wasn't going to go together. And, you know, Gina's father had passed on a number of years before, and he is a carpenter. And him and I were so tight. Out of the blue, I felt him come around and download into my mind a schematic of how to repair this thing, complete with like dotted lines and cut this and all that. That's way out of my wheelhouse. I followed the instructions, and to this day, the porch swing is sitting there and is a very functional porch swing. So, you just never know, right? What's going to happen. And that was a very real experience. It was a very cool experience and a profound experience. So listen, have a two-way conversation and be ready to receive. And then that fourth piece is to be prepared to act on what you receive from your higher power. If the governor or organizer of the entire universe is going to speak to you and does happen to give you some instructions, it's probably a good idea to follow those, because this is the being that, can ignite suns with a click of their finger and can get Earth spinning and masters and governs gravity and all of the laws of physics, right? So, if they can ignite suns with a snap of a finger, they probably have good instructions for you that if you act upon them, it's going to improve your life and your situation. I can certainly tell you from my experiences of working to imperfectly communicate with my own higher power that there's been a lot of cool downloads I've received, inspiration, ideas, dreams, impressions, thoughts, words, really cool experiences, guidance, feelings, all those things. And the cool thing in my experience with this practice of communicating with something higher than ourselves is that there's not a single human being on this planet that would be prohibited from it. This is an access point for all people on this planet to be able to connect with your higher power. So, a little different video than you're used to getting from me, but hey, I was in the moment of pondering and praying and meditating, and I felt that third one, where there was a download that was like, hey, you've got to put this out there. And because spirituality is one of the 7 core areas of the greater use focus for well-being, I was like, all right, I'm going to send it. Let's do it and see how it lands. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Take 1 or 2 of these or all 4 of these steps, and the call to action would be to practice these things. If you've been a person that hasn't tried this at all, give it a go. You really have nothing to lose, and you have everything to gain. So thank you for your time. Like this video if you liked it, and we will talk soon.